seize the throne, a man ventured into the lair of the Dark Witches, seeking the power of darkness to help him conquer the world. The Demon King saw through his greed, but the price was clear. He must sacrifice the woman he loved most. Staring at that hideous face, the man actually nodded in agreement. That night, he lured his wife into the cave. Once the sacrifice was complete, massive prehistoric beasts burst from the ground and rampaged through the city. The man transformed into a scythe-wielding demon and launched a brutal massacre against the royal family. To protect Arthur, the king gripped his sacred sword and fought the monster to his very last breath. Though the sword was powerful, his mind kept drifting to his son, who had yet to escape, leaving him distracted. He could no longer hold off the monster. To keep the sacred sword out of the demon's hands, he plunged the blade into his own back and sank into the depths of the sea, taking the sword with him. Vortigern finally claimed the throne, paying no attention to the young Arthur. But 20 years later, a sword embedded in stone mysteriously appeared outside the city walls. Warriors rushed to claim it, but none could pull it free. Sensing Arthur's threat, Vortigern rounded up every man in the city and forced them to try pulling the sword one by one. Soon, a burly man caught his attention. The moment he touched the hilt, a surge of power flooded through his entire body. Arthur seemed to sense something. Ignoring the soldier's mockery, he gripped the hilt with both hands and gave it a powerful pull. A massive wave of energy exploded outward, shaking the very ground beneath them. The soldiers immediately ordered his arrest. Before Arthur could escape, the overwhelming power backlashed against him, and he collapsed to the ground. When he opened his eyes, he found himself on the executioner's block. At the critical moment, a witch cast a spell to disrupt the execution, then rescued Arthur in the chaos. They turned out to be loyalists of the old king. Ever since Vortigern seized power and ruled with tyranny, they had retreated into the mountains, waiting for a savior to emerge. And now, Arthur was undoubtedly their only hope. As they recounted the events of the past, his long-buried memories slowly began to resurface. But to challenge Vortigern, his current abilities were far from enough. To accelerate his growth, they threw him into a cave filled with monsters. The place was crawling with mutated beasts, forcing him to draw his sword and fight for survival. After 3 months of life or death training, Arthur finally mastered the power of the sacred sword. He also confirmed the identity of the Scythe Demon. It was none other than his uncle Vortigern. To avenge his father, Arthur infiltrated the palace alone and deliberately handed over the sword to lower Vortigern's guard. With his allies' help, the sword was thrust into a stone pillar. Only someone of King Uther's bloodline could pull it out again. Realizing he was cornered, Vortigern fled back to the witch's lair for help. But once again, the price was to sacrifice someone he loved. Blinded by his thirst for power, Vortigern lost all humanity. He pushed open his daughter's door and plunged a dagger into her. The moment her blood spilled, he once again transformed into the Scythe Demon. In this final battle, can Arthur turn the tide?